Hi everyone. A girl in Sara always dreamed of becoming a great designer. She worked hard, but whenever someone gave her feedback, she felt attacked. They don't understand my talent, she told herself. Whenever her boss suggested improvements, she thought, why should I change? I know what I'm doing. Over time, others grew while she stayed the same. Opportunities slipped away, and she couldn't figure out why. One day, a junior designer got promoted over her. That's when it hit her. Her ego had held her back. How often do we let pride stop us from learning, growing, and succeeding? To win in life, kill your ego before it kills your potential. My name is Muniba Mazari and I am a motivational speaker. If you find this video fruitful, then you can appreciate me by like and subscribe and start a new journey with me. You can share this message to one who needs it most. Ego is like an invisible chain that holds people back from achieving their true potential. It whispers in the ear, telling them they're always right, that they don't need to listen, that they don't need to learn. It makes them believe that admitting a mistake is a sign of weakness, when in reality, it is the first step toward growth. Many people fail not because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity, but because they allow their ego to control them. Ego builds walls between people, making them think they are superior to others. It creates an illusion that they know everything, that they don't need advice, that their way is the only way. But life does not work that way. No one has all the answers. No one is perfect. The moment someone stops learning, stops listening, stops growing, that is the moment their downfall begins. Think about the people who never take responsibility for their failures. They always blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck. Why? Because their ego does not allow them to admit that they could be wrong. They repeat the same mistakes again and again, but instead of changing, they make excuses. The reality is, growth begins when a person looks in the mirror and says, maybe I need to improve. Maybe I need to change. But an ego-driven mind will never allow that realization. It will convince a person that they are right even when everything around them is falling apart. Ego does not only stop personal growth, it destroys relationships. A person with too much ego finds it hard to say, I'm sorry. They hold grudges, refuse to compromise, and push away the people who care about them. How many friendships, marriages, and families have been broken simply because someone refused to put their ego aside? Sometimes, one word, one apology can save a relationship. But ego makes a person so stubborn that they would rather lose someone than admit they were wrong. In the workplace, ego can be the biggest reason for failure. A person who refuses to listen to feedback, who believes they know everything, who looks down on others, will never go far. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who think they have all the answers, but the ones who are always willing to learn. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, who teach them, who push them to grow. But an egoistic person sees feedback as criticism, sees guidance as an attack, and sees teamwork as a threat. This is why many talented people remain stuck. They let their pride get in the way of their progress. Ego also creates fear, fear of looking weak, fear of failure, fear of being judged. People with big egos often pretend to be strong, but inside they are the most insecure. They cannot accept failure because it would mean accepting that they are not perfect. They cannot ask for help because they see it as a sign of weakness. But the truth is, the strongest people are those who admit when they need help, who are not afraid to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. Life is a journey of continuous learning, unlearning, and growing. The moment a person thinks they have reached the top and they know everything, they stop progressing. And when they stop progressing, they start falling. Ego does not make a person powerful. It blinds them. It keeps them trapped in their own false sense of superiority. It makes them lose opportunities, friendships, and even their own happiness. The people who achieve true success are the ones who put their ego aside and embrace growth. They know that real power comes not from proving they are the best, but from constantly becoming better than they were yesterday. They understand that listening, learning, and accepting change are not signs of weakness, but the greatest strengths anyone can have. True strength is not in arrogance, not in showing dominance, and not in proving others wrong. True strength lies in humility. It takes real courage to accept that you don't know everything, to admit when you are wrong, and to learn from others without feeling inferior. The world often confuses confidence with ego, but there is a difference. Confidence allows a person to grow, while ego blocks the path to progress. A humble person understands that learning never stops. No matter how much success they achieve, how much knowledge they gain, or how high they rise, they never stop being a student of life. They listen more than they speak, and they are open to new perspectives. But an egoistic person refuses to listen. They believe that they already know enough, that they don't need advice, that learning is for others, not for them, and that is why they eventually fall behind. Humility is not weakness, it is wisdom. A strong person is not someone who never fails. It is someone who accepts their failures, learns from them, and moves forward. When a person is ruled by ego, they see failure as humiliation. They take it personally, as if it defines their worth. But a humble person sees failure as a lesson, as an opportunity to grow. They understand that every mistake carries wisdom, and they use it to become better. A humble person does not need to shout for respect. Their actions earn it. People naturally admire those who uplift others, rather than those who constantly try to prove their superiority. A person who always boasts about their achievements, belittles others, and never admits mistakes may seem powerful on the outside, but inside they are insecure. True strength is when you don't need to prove your worth to anyone because you know who you are. Humility also builds deeper, more meaningful relationships. Nobody likes to be around a person who always talks about themselves, who never listens, who always wants to be the smartest in the room. But people are drawn to those who respect them, who listen to them, who value their opinions. Being humble does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of others too. It means understanding that every person has something to teach, something valuable to share. In life, there will always be moments when ego tries to take control. When success comes, it is easy to think, I did this all on my own. I don't need anyone. But the truth is, no one succeeds alone. Behind every success, there are people who helped, who supported, who guided. A humble person acknowledges this and remains grateful. They don't let success change who they are. They remember where they started and who stood by them. But an egoistic person takes all the credit, forgetting that life is unpredictable. The same people they disregard on the way up may be the ones they need on the way down. Humility also makes a person fearless. An ego-driven person constantly worries about their image. They don't want to look weak. They don't want to admit when they don't know something, and they're afraid of being judged. But a humble person is free from that fear. They don't pretend to be perfect, and that is what makes them powerful. They can walk into any room, face any challenge, and say, I don't have all the answers, but I am willing to learn. In the end, strength is not measured by how loudly a person speaks, how much they show off, or how many people fear them. It is measured by how many people respect them, how much wisdom they carry, and how open they are to grow. A person who embraces humility gains the power to learn, to improve, and to build lasting success. Because real strength is not in proving you are the best. It is in becoming better every single day. Ego does not just stop personal growth. It destroys relationships and steals happiness. It builds invisible walls between people, making them believe that winning an argument is more important than keeping a relationship, that being right is more valuable than being kind, and that apologizing is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, the people who let go of ego and choose understanding over pride are the ones who experience real peace and joy in life. How many friendships, marriages, and families have been broken because of ego? One small misunderstanding turns into a big fight because no one wants to back down. Two people who once cared for each other now refuse to even speak simply because both of them are waiting for the other to say sorry first. But what does it really cost to take the first step? Nothing. In fact, the ability to apologize, to listen, to compromise, that is what makes a person truly strong. Ego makes people hold grudges, thinking that by staying angry, they are punishing the other person. But in reality, they are only punishing themselves. Carrying resentment is like carrying a heavy burden on your shoulders. It exhausts you, drains your energy, and keeps you stuck in the past. The most peaceful people in the world are not the ones who have never been hurt, but the ones who have learned to let go. They don't allow their ego to control their emotions. They choose their peace over their pride. Ego also stops people from appreciating others. It makes a person believe that they don't need anyone, that they achieved everything on their own, that saying thank you makes them look small. But gratitude is not a weakness. It is a strength. A person who can genuinely appreciate others, who can give credit where it is due, who can acknowledge the efforts of those around them, earns respect and love in return. But an egoistic person isolates themselves. They think they are above others, but in reality they are just alone. In relationships, ego is often disguised as self-respect. Of course, self-respect is important. But there is a difference between self-respect and stubbornness. Self-respect means valuing yourself enough to walk away from things that harm you. But stubbornness means refusing to bend even when bending could save something precious. Sometimes a simple conversation, an open heart, a willingness to listen can fix what ego wants to destroy. Ego does not only affect personal relationships, it ruins opportunities too. When someone cannot take feedback, cannot accept advice, cannot acknowledge that they need improvement, they close the doors to success. Many people stay stuck in the same place for years, not because they lack potential, but because their ego does not allow them to grow. They refuse to admit that they need to change, that there is still more to learn. But the ones who succeed are those who are open, who listen, who improve instead of defend. Ego creates loneliness. It makes a person push away those who love them, those who could have guided them, those who could have stood by them. It makes a person fear vulnerability. But there's so much strength in being vulnerable, in being able to say, I was wrong, I need help, or I'm sorry. These simple words have the power to heal wounds, to rebuild trust, to bring people closer. At the end of the day, what matters most? Being right or being happy? Winning the argument or keeping the relationship? Protecting your pride or protecting your peace? Ego will always choose the first option, but wisdom will always choose the second. And those who choose wisdom, those who choose peace, those who choose love over pride, those are the ones who truly win in life. Successful people are not the ones who shout the loudest, who demand respect, or who constantly remind others of their achievements. The truly successful are the ones who choose humility over pride, who listen more than they speak, and who lift others instead of putting them down. They understand that leadership is not about being above people, but about walking beside them. The most powerful individuals are not those who seek control over others, but those who inspire through their actions. Ego makes a person believe that they always have to prove their worth. It makes them seek validation in titles, status, and attention. But real success is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and carrying yourself with quiet confidence. A successful person does not need to remind others of their greatness. Their work, their kindness, and their wisdom speak for themselves. People who choose humility over pride build stronger relationships. In any workplace, in any business, in any team, the people who rise the highest are not the ones who think they are better than everyone else. They are the ones who respect others, who give credit where it is due, who celebrate the success of their peers instead of feeling threatened by it. A true leader is not someone who stands alone at the top, but someone who brings others up with them. A person ruled by ego sees competition everywhere. They see another person's success as a threat. Instead of learning from those who are doing better, they become jealous, bitter, or defensive. But a humble person understands that there is enough success for everyone. They are secure in their own journey, and instead of competing with others, they focus on improving themselves. They know that success is not about being the best, it is about being better than you were yesterday. Humility also allows people to receive feedback without feeling attacked. An egoistic person sees criticism as an insult, even if it is constructive. They get defensive, they refuse to listen, they shut down opportunities to grow. But successful people welcome feedback because they know that there is always room for improvement. They don't take advice as a sign of weakness. They see it as a tool to become better. Look at the most admired leaders, the most respected figures in history. The ones who left a mark on the world were not those who ruled with arrogance, but those who led with wisdom and grace. People do not follow a leader because they are feared. They follow a leader because they are inspired. And inspiration comes from humility, from kindness, from the ability to connect with others on a human level. Humility also makes success last. Many people rise to the top but fall just as quickly because they let their ego take control. They forget the people who helped them. They stop listening, stop learning, stop growing. They think they are invincible, but life has a way of humbling those who forget where they came from. On the other hand, those who remain humble, who continue to respect and uplift others, who never stop learning, those are the ones who build a legacy that lasts. At the end of the day, success is not just about wealth, fame, or power. It is about the impact you leave, the people you inspire, and the relationships you build. And those who understand this are the ones who choose humility over pride. They know that real greatness is not about standing above others, but about walking with them, learning from them and helping them rise. Because in lifting others, we rise too. Letting go of ego is not just about giving up a false sense of superiority. It is about embracing growth. True growth begins when we stop defending our limitations and start accepting that we can always become better. Ego traps us in the belief that we are already enough, that we don't need to improve, that we know everything there is to know. But the moment we let go of that ego, we open ourselves to infinite possibilities. Growth happens when we stop protecting our image and allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to be open to learning, and to evolve into the best version of ourselves. When you allow your ego to control you, you stop growing because you refuse to accept criticism, advice, or change. You become stagnant. Life begins to feel like a routine, like you're stuck in the same place, moving in circles. But in reality, no one achieves success alone. The most successful people are the ones who recognize the value of learning from others, who seek out mentorship, and who embrace new ideas. They understand that growth is not linear. It is a journey of continuous learning and adaptation. The moment you kill your ego, you open yourself up to improvement. You admit that there are areas where you can be better. You accept that you are not perfect, and that's okay. This self-awareness is the first step towards growth. It allows you to take on challenges, to face fears, and to make mistakes without being afraid to fail. Failure is not a setback, it's a stepping stone to progress. When ego is in charge, failure feels like a personal attack. But when you let go of ego, failure becomes a valuable lesson, an opportunity to learn and do better next time. Ego also prevents you from seeing the bigger picture. It makes you focus only on yourself, on your own desires and fears. But when you let go of ego, you begin to see the world through a broader lens. You start to recognize the value in other people's experiences, ideas, and perspectives. You begin to learn from those around you, not just from books or formal education, but from the wisdom that life teaches through others. Real growth happens when you stop viewing life as a competition and start seeing it as a community. There is so much wisdom in others, and when you open your mind and heart, you gain access to that knowledge. Think about people who have achieved remarkable things, whether in business, art, science, or personal development. They ask questions, they seek out feedback, and they surround themselves with people who challenge them to think differently. This constant thirst for improvement, for knowledge, for growth is what sets them apart. Ego, on the other hand, keeps you in a bubble, isolated from new ideas and experiences. It makes you think that you've reached the top, when in reality, you're only at the beginning of your potential. When you kill your ego, you give yourself the freedom to grow without fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of making mistakes. These are all driven by ego. Ego tells you that your image, your pride, is more important than your progress. But once you let go of that false belief, you can focus entirely on your growth. You can fail and get back up again. Learn from your mistakes, try new things, and push yourself further than you ever thought possible. Ego creates boundaries. Humility removes them. The path to personal growth requires vulnerability. It requires being open to the fact that you don't have all the answers, that you need help, that you need guidance. But ego prevents vulnerability. It tells you that asking for help is weak, that admitting you don't know something is embarrassing. When you let go of ego, you remove those barriers, you allow yourself to be imperfect, to be real, and to embrace the process of becoming better, little by little, every day. Growth is a constant journey, not a destination. It's about making small improvements every single day. And the only way to make those improvements is to kill the ego that holds you back, that tells you you're already enough, that you don't need to change. When you let go of that ego, you realize that you can always be better, that there is always more to learn, and that the journey of growth never ends. Happiness is not found in proving yourself to others. It is not in being right all the time or in making sure that everyone recognizes your worth. Happiness is found in peace. Peace that comes from letting go of the need to control, the need to win, the need to always be seen as the best. Ego creates unnecessary struggles. It turns life into a constant competition where you are always trying to outshine, outsmart, or outdo others. But what is the point of winning if, in the process, you lose your inner peace? Ego makes people chase validation. It convinces them that their worth is measured by how much attention they receive, how much status they hold, or how many people admire them. But the truth is, no matter how much recognition you get, it will never be enough if you are seeking happiness outside yourself. Ego makes happiness conditional. I will be happy when I prove them wrong. I will be happy when people respect me. I will be happy when I show them what I'm capable of. But real happiness does not depend on anyone else. It comes from within. It comes from being content with who you are, whether or not the world claps for you. A person driven by ego is always restless. They are always waiting for approval, always comparing themselves to others, always afraid of being seen as weak. They cannot truly enjoy success because they are too busy making sure that others acknowledge it. They cannot enjoy relationships because they are too focused on their pride. They cannot enjoy the present moment because they are too caught up in how they appear to others. But when you let go of ego, you set yourself free. You stop chasing recognition. You stop worrying about how people perceive you. You start living for yourself, not for the expectations of others. Letting go of ego allows you to experience genuine connections. Ego makes relationships conditional. I will be kind if they respect me first. I will apologize only if they admit they were wrong. I will support them only if they acknowledge me. But happiness in relationships comes from unconditional love, from being able to forgive, to understand, to appreciate others without keeping score. When you let go of ego, you stop holding grudges, and in return, you make space for peace. You realize that some fights are not worth it, that some arguments are better left unresolved, that sometimes walking away with your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Ego makes life heavier. It adds unnecessary burdens, resentment, comparison, overthinking, and pride. But the happiest people are the ones who travel light. They don't hold on to things that steal their peace. They don't waste time proving themselves to those who don't matter. They don't let their pride keep them from experiencing love, joy, and growth. They understand that true strength is in choosing peace over pride, love over ego, and happiness over unnecessary battles. Think about it. What brings real happiness? Is it having the last word in an argument? Is it proving someone wrong? Is it making sure people never see you struggle? Or is it living a life free from the need to impress, free from the weight of competition, free from the fear of judgment? Happiness is not about showing the world how strong, smart, or capable you are. It is about being at peace with yourself, knowing that you are enough just as you are. When you let go of ego, you make space for true happiness. You stop needing validation, you stop competing with others, and you start enjoying life for what it is. You find joy in the little things, in meaningful conversations, in moments of silence, in simple acts of kindness. You no longer carry the weight of pride, and in return you gain something far more valuable: freedom. Freedom to be yourself, to live fully, and to experience happiness without condition.